to the Godcast. Cross up on my back, I'm slaying demons. It don't matter what you call that. Searching for the truth, facts are facts until they fall flat. It's looking like a story, man, it's all cap. But it's goodness over darkness, it ain't all bad. I'm at my maker, but I was called back. Emmanuel, show my people they're under a spell. Heaven or hell is free will. I made my choice and now it's well with my soul. I pray the same for you as well. Welcome to the Godcast. Welcome to the Godcast.
Hello once again. Welcome to Christ's Millennial Kingdom, the 1,000 Years of Peace and its Destruction, Part 4, Great Balls of Fire. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 3 yet, I really suggest you do so that you are caught up on where we are. I will reference back to things at different points, but it's best if you just go check out everything so far and then come here. All right, so we open up with a couple Bible verses, Matthew chapter 24. So here we are on the left, verses 6 through 8. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. And then on the right here, verse 29 from chapter 24. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. So these are all Jesus' words of what the end will be. Okay, so the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light. Right? Well, guess what happened? The year of 1816 is known as the year without a summer because of severe climate abnormalities that caused average global temperatures to decrease by zero point 0.7 to 1 degree Fahrenheit. Summer temperatures in Europe were the coldest on record between the years of 1766 to 2000. This resulted in major food shortages across the northern hemisphere. I'm sure the southern hemisphere had major food shortages as well. Evidence suggests that the anomaly was predominantly a volcanic winter event caused by the massive 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora in April in the Dutch East Indies, known today as Indonesia. This eruption was the largest in at least 1,300 years after the hypothesized eruption causing the volcanic winter of 536 and was perhaps exacerbated by the 1814 eruption of Mayon in the Philippines. So, there you go. The sun was darkened and the moon did not give its light. And the stars will fall from the sky. Right? That's where Jesus' words. Leonid's meteor shower, November 12th, 1833. Here's some depictions. These stars are obviously, there's a central point right here in this depiction. You can't see all that greatly, but they're obviously coming from a central point, right? These ones on the left are coming from the center. The ones on the right are coming from the center. The ones in the center are going straight up and down for the most part. You can tell they're coming from one central point. And this photo depiction on the right, not photo, but depiction on the right, it's coming from one source. Now, if you remember the sevenfold sun that we talked about in part 3, look, that is exactly what happened. The sevenfold sun exploded and rained down all these comets that was then called the Leonid's meteor shower. So the sun exploded, I believe, probably in 1833. And here you got another depiction, November 16th, 1833. This looks like a snake that's in the middle of the air here. I mean, I don't know what's up with that, but there you have it. And this looks exactly like the sun, the smaller sun passing in front of the larger sun, right? And for whatever reason, it then exploded. That's exactly what this is depicting, in my opinion. When you have ears to hear and eyes to see, things mean different. Look, there's some kind of face here. It looks like you got like eyebrows, eyes, nose, a mouth. Now this is just someone's depiction, but this is just interesting. You got the stars. So that happened in 1833. What started happening all over the world was, well, we had the World's Fairs, right? And if go to Howdy McCoskey, go to Matt from the Great Deception podcast, you can learn a lot about the World's Fairs and how they were cover-ups. But before the World's Fairs, there were typically great fires in all of these cities preceding these uh, these World's Fairs. That I think the World's Fairs were cover-ups for, the rest of the city was already in shambles and all the old world buildings were being taken out, so we might as well put on a display to then get rid of the rest of the old world stuff because they very out in the open, the creators of these World's Fairs destroyed their what they said was wood and plaster, but it wasn't. You know, that's a whole nother aside right there. But they destroyed everything with TNT and fire. So why we're going to go over this is I think maybe the sun exploded in 1833, and that is what we call the asteroid belt now, is the exploded sun, and that's the remnants of it that haven't struck the earth, that they still strike the earth from time to time, possibly. And well, not possibly, that I think that's is what the comets and meteors that strike the earth are from that exploded sun, and that it was striking the earth at different times, striking cities, striking the seven churches of Asia, striking all these other cities. So that the seven churches of Asia were before the millennial reign, and then all these cities that were hit with great fires were after or at the end of the millennial reign, when Satan was going to be released from the pit again. When he was released from the pit was that year without a summer. That's when the angel came down, and we'll get into that in a later part of the series. But it's all happened. All of it has very much happened. So we're told that the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, that it was a cow kicked over a candle in some faraway farm, and it destroyed everything. That's nonsense. This building, all these structures are pillars. These are great stone and brick structures that are just completely torn through. This is all brick over here. That's like something got cut out of it. Well, if meteors were raining down asteroids from that exploded sun that were now coming and striking the earth in specific spots because God wanted to burn down these specific areas, or maybe there was something else that was going on. But I believe that it was God sending these meteors to strike the earth. So look at this, all this brick. How could a regular house fire, not regular house fires, but even extreme house fires, do this and leave no scorch marks from the windows? If anyone knows how fires operate, they escape the inside to the outside, and they always burn up. They always are going up, and they would burn, leaving scorch marks all over these buildings. They would be blackened. The bricks wouldn't be laying down like this. These rocks, I mean, this is just completely destroyed. This is not what fire alone does, but something falling down possibly could. And here you go. You got this sign in the background, life insurance company. Like it's some kind of joke here that this is a life insurance company is completely destroyed. Right? Well, look at it. This is not regular fires doing this. I mean, the streets are completely fine, but all the debris is contained within, and I mean, it's everywhere. It's bricks everywhere. How could bricks be destroyed by fire in this manner? They just aren't. I mean, look at all this. Again, more of the same. Buildings are not destroyed like this. Fire does not operate like this. There's no scorch marks anywhere. This is not how fire operates. Again, you look how thick this is. And all this is just here in rubble now. Fire didn't do that. Now look at these gentlemen over here. The hidden hand, the master of the second veil. The gentleman putting his right hand through his opening of his coat into the left side. The hidden hand, the master of the second veil. This gentleman with the top hat here has his left hand in his coat pocket. Again, a hidden hand. I don't know if that has a specific name to it, what he's doing here, but it's the hidden hand being depicted in front of buildings that were completely destroyed. The masters of the second veil, they're showing you. Here's a great fire of Boston, 1872, November 9th and 10th, 1872. So you have all of this. This again, this isn't happening from fire. This looks like war. Or meteors raining down from Earth or from the heavens onto the Earth. Look at this cutout. When you have eyes to see and ears to hear, it means something different. San Francisco fire 1906, the great earthquake and fire, which I have in my background. I have that newspaper article that I found in St. Augustine that is about this. That was the Boston Post, and it's talking about the San Francisco fire of 1906. I found while Tartaria, quote unquote, Tartaria hunting in St. Augustine when my girlfriend and co host Mimi, and I took a 2-day vacation there. And you'll see photos later in the series that I took from a helicopter and also from on land when we were in St. Augustine. So I found that newspaper article. It's just super interesting. So look, you cannot get this destruction by fire. You just can't. How could they even build this with horse and buggy? Look, there's horse and buggy. How are they building this building back here that's still standing? How could that have been built by people that are using horse and buggy on mud roads? The history we're told doesn't make sense. This building, the whole front is blown out and is now on the ground here. All these people are just watching this billowing smoke. Like, how did this building blow out, but none of the other buildings are affected if it's a house fire? There's the wallpaper. You can still see the wallpaper is fine, right? But there's brick all over the front. Where's the scorch marks from the fire? We're being deceived. And by the way, these hills, this is because San Francisco is built on pyramids. And that's why you have all those steep roads that you do. They're all pyramids. Again, look at all these guys. How many hidden hands there are? 1, 2, 3 hidden hands. This guy, I'm sure, is doing it as well. They're all well dressed in the same types of outfits, top hats, black coats, black pants, black dress shoes on these destruction. And what do you have over here? Mason P. Ellis Photography, photographic company. Something I can't tell. You can't see what this says over here, but it's Mason is the name. That's how it's hidden in the photography. And guess what number this photograph is? The 3224267. The 322, Skull and Bones 322. You have the hidden hand, Masters of the Second Veil, secret societies. You have all these blowouts of buildings that cannot be caused by fire alone. Let us not forget what they told us were wildfires in Australia 2019. Aluminum rims completely melting from a car, but trees behind it are fine. They still have their leaves on it, no problem. Again, down here, cars destroyed, trees still stand. A house destroyed completely, trees still stand. That's what they told us wildfires were. So if you think that we are told the truth about a cow knocking over a candle and having the most destructive fire ever, well, you're just being silly. Because look at this. This is not wildfires that did this. California wildfires 2019. Look at this house gone. There's no wreckage. It's just gone. It's like it folded in on itself and just evaporated. Trees still with leaves on them all around. There's trees, no problem. House here, no problem. House here, no problem. Car, no problem on these cars. But house gone. Gone, gone, gone. Trees not touched. Same thing on this one. Well, this one's way worse. There, every house is gone. Car melted. Trees, okay. All around, so many of them. Just perfectly normal. Rims melted. Car destroyed. Wildfires do not do that. Trees full of green shrubbery. Houses gone. Just plot areas left. That's that's not how wildfires work. Like all their belongings are gone. That is not how it works. No matter how hot the fires were, if a fire could do that, which it can't, just like jet fuel can't melt steel beams, even if that were the case, that they could burn that hot, then these trees would have been disintegrated as well. They would not be standing. And how does a wildfire happen? It burns the underbrush and then gets the trees and then passes along to each other. Well, how is it being passed along if none of the nature is being burned down, but it's just the homes that are being burnt? Doesn't make any sense. So back to Jesus' words, heavenly bodies will be shaken. So here we have Tecumseh's or Napoleon's comet. The Great Comet of 1811, formerly designated C/1811 F1, is a comet that was visible to the naked eye for around 260 days, the longest recorded period of visibility until until the appearance of Comet Halley-Bopp in 1997. In October 1811, at its brightest and when it was 1.2 AU from Earth, it displayed an apparent magnitude of 0 with an easily visible coma. So, I actually have read that it's 17 months it was visible for. Maybe not with the naked eye, but I heard it was going for 17 months. So with the naked eye, maybe it's 260 days. Who knows exactly what it is? But it's called that because Napoleon's War of 1812 in both Europe and America was going on. Tecumseh was a Native American, and you could see it in the the Americas also. So it's called both Napoleon's and Tecumseh's Comet because it was seen by both on opposite sides of the world, participating in the same world war, which we're not told is a world war, which happened just before um, in October 1811, happened just before the New Madrid earthquake that took place in Missouri that hit the Mississippi River so strongly that the Mississippi River was reversed for 3 days. There was a series of three earthquakes beginning in December 1811 and finishing up in January and February of 1812. If you haven't seen my two-part series on the biblical apocalypse already occurring, go watch that. I go into a lot of depth into the different categories, and this is expanding on things, but also I'm breezing over things that were covered and would have happened. And it says an easily visible coma. That means the trailing star right here. So, was this heavenly body shaking the entire world? Was it causing different things like Leaning Tower of Pisa? So this is France, and take a look at this nice background here. You know, you got a house back here, you got hedges and trees. Just keep that in mind for what we're about to look at. Look at the structure, the different arches. You have the flag on top. You have the different diamond patterned windows here. You have the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So, how could leaning towers happen? Well, We have the possibility of soil liquefaction. You have mud floods, right? How do mud floods occur? There's several different ways. Either water becomes so saturated over the dirt that then the dirt liquefies. You also have the possibility that the earthquakes are quaking low but steady, and eventually the dirt turns to mud, becomes liquid like, and the buildings can sink into it that way. Or also, the earth can be heated up and be liquefied by hot things striking the earth and not hitting the buildings, but hitting the earth and heating them, and then the buildings sinking in them. So that's what I believe happened. Well, there's probably a combination of things that happened, but it's definitely the soil liquefaction is what causes these leaning towers. So here's the Leaning Tower of Pisa, right? Then we got the leaning towers in China. You can see this woman standing straight up and down for reference. You have this fence going for reference. That's a really big tilt. It's definitely leaning into the ground. This one is going like up and away to the right, up and back behind whatever it is. You can see the straight wall here, and then it goes to the right. And then this tower, or it may be different towers, I'm not completely sure, but they look like the same tower, and it looks exactly like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. These towers are from India. Now, this depiction on the right, you have this building right behind it, which you don't have in this photo, but it could be behind. So we could be taking a different look, but I'm not so sure that we are, because you look at the surroundings. Well, firstly, let's go back to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Look at these surroundings. Definitely not the same as what we saw in India, but they're leaning towers, and they have these same archways, same diamond pattern windows in the bottom, same archway at the top here, same flag on top, maybe not the same flag, but a flag on top. I mean, it's all the same. So whether these 2 are the same, I'm not totally sure of. I don't think so. I don't remember exactly where I got these photos from, but I don't think they are. This is something I noticed just while doing a rehearsal for this, and I didn't look it up. But they look exactly like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. So why are all these buildings leaning? They weren't designed that way. They became that way? And is it because this heavenly body shook the earth, or maybe things were striking the earth from our asteroid belt that is the exploded sun, the remnants of the exploded sun, that were striking the cities and specific cities, striking different things at different times, destroying them, and then making these towers all lean? So here's the Leaning Tower of Malaysia. You can't tell too much, but it's leaning a little bit. Then you got some leaning towers in Germany. This is definitely leaning, and so is this one. I mean, these are obviously leaning, and they were not designed that way. So there was some kind of liquefaction that happened that made them then lean. And I mean, they both look like old buildings. This brick one could be newer, but I mean, it could be from the 1800s as well, or before that when they were using red brick, even before that. And this one on the right, this definitely has the look of something that was being made much earlier. All right, so that is the end of part 4. So make sure you hit that like button, comment what you guys think of the series so far. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 3 yet, please go back and do so. Share it around with your friends. I know that there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work that expand on certain aspects, the mud floods and so on, and the resets and all that. John Levy, Michelle Gibson, Ryan Zem. I've had many of these people on my show. Golden Gate Starfort Command. I've had many of these people on my show my podcast, Godcast the Goodness Over Darkness podcast, which also is on my YouTube channel. So if you're here for this for the first time, go check out my podcast. There's a lot you can learn on there as well. I have a playlist, Covered Up History, which talks about the covering up of history. And then there's so many different things you guys can spend hours on learning healing modalities, so many different aspects of life. So go check all that out. Thank you all for stopping by and stay tuned for parts 5 through 8, which will be coming soon. And we'll talk to you later.